be pros, but their harmony hit all the right notes for a grand celebration of the 50th independence anniversary in Freeport. It was a night of fun and laughter at the Grand Lucayan as Prime Minister Davis set the mood to celebrate.
Dance with jubilee, share laughter and stories, and forge lasting connections with fellow compatriots who share deep love for our extraordinary nation.
Glasses raised, a toast to 50 more years as the country moves in step with a shared vision for progress.
This 50th year of independence is a testament to the resilience, unity, and enduring spirit of our people. It is a time to celebrate our shared history, diverse culture, and the remarkable achievements we have accomplished as a nation. Tonight, as we come together in joyous revelry, let us embrace the spirit of camaraderie and unity that defines us as Bahamians. May this evening be a reflection of our collective strength, harmony, and boundless potential.
It was a sweet memory for all who attended. This event, just a taste of a 50th birthday to remember.
Cheers to the Bahamas. Thank you, and let's have a truly magnificent celebration. Thank you very much.
Keeping you in the know, this is OPM Press Now. Prime Minister Philip Davis wrapped up the budget debate on Monday in Parliament on a high note, with one of the most important economic indicators reflecting positive growth.
Our unemployment rate is now lower than the previous administration's best pre-Dorian and pre-COVID years. And we are now setting records for the number of tourist arrivals coming in each month. This year, we will welcome over 8 million visitors to our shores. This is the story of a country that has shaken off the worst of multiple crises and is finally headed in the right direction. I understand. They're confused. They're trying to understand how we here able to achieve what we're achieving. And less than 22 months.
They don't like good news.
They don't understand. And good news is hurt them.
Yeah.
It's like the truth, you know?
Yeah.
The truth is.
As for the years ahead, revenue projections reflect exponential growth.
As our government revenues continue to increase, we are well on our way to realizing a surplus in just a few years.
Yeah.
Each quarter that goes by, we continue to meet and even surpass our own projections. This is in stark contrast to the previous administration, who during their 4.5 years in office never once met their revenue or expenditure targets. Not once. In fact, they weren't even close to achieving their targets. For the foreseeable future, revenues will continue to go up and deficits will continue to go down. We are on track for a balanced budget in 2025, barring any unforeseen events.
Returning as promised to the contentious issue of the Port Authority's management of the city of Freeport, Prime Minister Philip Davis says something must be done and pointed to the government's possible recourse.
The Port Authority, under its present structure, is not realizing Freeport's enormous potential. The status quo is not working, and the people of Grand Bahama deserves better. There's a provision in the Hospital Creek Agreement that specifies that the costs borne by the government for certain activities and services provided are to be reimbursed by the Grand Bahama Port Authority for amounts in excess of customs duties and emergency taxes collected. My government has begun to invoice the Port Authority for these reimbursable expenses as calculated by an independent accountancy firm. To date, The Port Authority has not provided reimbursement in connection with any of these invoices. We need to have a serious conversation in this country about the best way forward. I'm of the belief that the Grand Bahama Port Authority needs a management and governance change in order to realize real growth and opportunities in Grand Bahama.
Keeping you in the know, this is OPM Press Now. The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we are working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against the
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know.
The Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press conference keeps Bahamians in the know. Each week, we also feature a new Bahamian food business.
Many of these businesses were started during the pandemic, and they really highlight Bahamian resilience and ingenuity. Today, we have
Kathy's Bakery,
Nutty Bavarian Bahamas?
proud owner of Sensational Goodies Pastries.
Get your small business featured in the weekly OPM press conference and share your dream with the country.
Good morning. We apologize for our slight delay. I'm Natalia Clark, and I would like to welcome you to the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. It's a pleasure to see media colleagues here today and those of you who are joining us via the live stream. We have an exciting lineup today for you as we approach the month of July in celebration of our 50th year of independence. I am now going to introduce to you Deputy Press Secretary Keishla Adderley. Keishla?
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you again this week. Welcome. We have a lot to get to this morning. We are going to be discussing, first and foremost, the Bahamas Power and Light Company. As temperatures peak, obviously, so do the demands on the system. We're joined by the Minister of Works and Utilities, the Honorable Alfred Sayers, who is supported today by Chairman Pedro Roll and CEO Siobhan Cambridge. We will hear from them about how the system is being managed this summer and beyond. And we are in independence mode. We are about down to day 11, I think, on the countdown to the 50th anniversary of independence, a big, huge celebration in store for the country. The chair of the 50th Independence Secretariat, Her Excellency Leslia Miller Bryce, joins us, and she is joined by Mr. Jack Thompson, for the Permanent Secretary at Government House, who will discuss the plans in the days ahead. We'll get right to it. We'll welcome first the Minister of Works and Utilities, the Honorable Alfred Sayers. Minister Sayers.
Good morning. Thank you so very much, Ms. Adderley. In addition, I also want to introduce the Chief Operating Officer of BPL, Ms. Seymour, and also the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Works and Public Utilities, Mr. Luther Smith. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I believe it's a fair assessment to say that the Bahamas Power and Light, BPL, is at a point where we must look objectively at the current situation and make substantial changes if we want to maintain a utility and evolve a utility capable of meeting not only our current, but the future energy needs of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. In the Blueprint for Change, the government committed, and I quote, to ensure reliable sources of affordable, sustainable energy and move to reduce the reliance on fossil fuel, end quote. Further, and I quote, recommit the Bahamas to a minimum reliance on renewable energy of 30% by 2030. This blueprint for change is a social contract with the Bahamian population. The generation challenges that BPL experienced this past weekend are the direct result of continuing to apply Band-Aid solutions on major issues that require significant financial capital to correct. In the absence of what experts estimate to be $500 million plus injection, BPL continues to work extremely hard to keep its aging infrastructure afloat, albeit with intermittent challenges on both its generation and transmission and distribution networks. The question that looms the largest in the minds of the Bahamian public is whether there will be more load shedding this summer. The shortest answer and most direct answer is possibly. However, the company is putting all its resources behind preventing that from happening. In New Providence, BPL has an installed capacity of 375 megawatt, with 270 megawatt currently operable. New Providence peaks demand has never exceeded 263 megawatt. But the potential exists for a peak summer load of 270 megawatt. Today, the peak demand is 235 megawatt. On the surface, it appears that BPL has sufficient generation to meet the peak demand. However, we are talking really about machines. Just like any appliance or machinery we have in our homes or businesses, the potential exists for them to break down. The loss of more than one engine at any given time puts BPL in a precarious position where it may not be able to meet the demand of the entire island. If this happened, as it did last weekend, BPL employs several mitigating measures. The first, it presently has a 25 megawatt hour battery energy storage that can handle system disturbances and any loss of generation by temporarily providing power until an available standby unit can be energized or until minor repairs can be completed. This system has been operable for more than a month and has worked well to mitigate some of the company's intermittent generation shortages. Secondly, BPL also relies on its Generation Assistance Program, known as GAP. When there are instances of significant shortfall, the company relies on its relationship with large commercial customers, like hotels, to use their own supply, standby generation, to allow BPL to maintain supply to small commercial and residential customers. Or 3, on rare occasions like this past weekend, where the company lost approximately 60 megawatt hour, load shedding is a last resort and is usually managed on a rotation in 2-hour intervals. As summer continues and the temperatures are expected to climb significantly, we expect the demand on the network to increase. Therefore, we must look at solutions that will take us through the next several months. In this regard, BPL already relies on rental generation that contributes 83 megawatt per hour to the total output for New Providence. And by the end of next week, an additional 33 megawatt will be added to the rental generation fleet. Also, plans to return a BPL 20 megawatt unit to service early next month are progressing satisfactorily, which will give the company a total of 53 megawatt of additional generation capacity over its current standing. In both instances, the project teams are working diligently to ensure on-time quality completions to mitigate any challenges as these systems are connected to the network. Barring no further unforeseeable events, BPL is confident that this will give the company the cushion it needs throughout the summer. It is anticipated that by mid-July, BPL will have almost 323 megawatt in available generation capacity, which is well beyond what will be required in normal circumstances during the peak period. However, rental generation is not a long-term solution. The company continues to work towards decommissioning rental units and its obsolete and sometimes unreliable generation assets. The goal is to replace them with greener and leaner technologies such as renewable energy and new fossil fuel units capable of utilizing more efficient, less costly, and environmentally friendly alternatives such as LNG and hydrogen. To accomplish this requires a commitment not just from the government, but all Bahamians to help provide the funding necessary to modernize our electric utility. And here, ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that there is a rollout taking place currently of establishing microgrids in Acklands, in Crooked Island, in Mayaguana, and Long Key, as well as those islands which were devastated by Hurricane Dorian, in particular East Grand Bahama, and also in Abaco. That program, which is funded by the Inter-American Development Bank, will include public buildings also in New Providence, such as clinics, schools, and other public buildings. There's also another program, and that is in conjunction with the Water and Sewerage Corporation to introduce a new technology called OTEC, and that is ocean energy conversion. And that will be piloted shortly in conjunction with a number of the desalination plants in the Bahamas. We have 30 desalination plants, most of which are operated by private companies under contract. And BPL itself will be rolling out two 10-megawatt solar facility over the course of the next year, and active discussions taking place with multilateral agencies to fund that. So in pursuant to the Blueprint for Change, 30% renewable by 2030, there's been a very aggressive preparation to meet that ambitious objective. The facts are as follows. BPL hasn't seen a rate increase since 2010 and up until the gliding path that was recently implemented. And we're asking BPL to provide quality service on infrastructure, which thankfully has lived beyond its life. But I want to say in this press conference and recognize the ingenuity of BPL technicians and engineers. Because in any other company, what they do would be considered as research and development, because they take engines that are long past their life, they take them apart, they reassemble them, and they get them running again. That is what we call research and development, right? In the medium and long term, the government's policy and support for BPL will ensure that the company transitions to a modern utility operating on renewables, high efficiency engines, and with a robust transmission and distribution infrastructure, which will be more reliable, sustainable, and produce more affordable electricity for the benefit of all stakeholders. As a BPL customer and consumer, I too feel the frustration of occasional outages and the electricity bill. Higher consumption and an increase in the fuel charge are a reality not only in the Bahamas, but throughout the world, especially countries like the Bahamas, which do not produce fossil fuel. Therefore, we continue to encourage customers to conserve as much energy as possible. Not only does it lower the electricity bill, but it also lowers the overall demand for electricity. While we ask all of our compatriots to do our part, BPL will continue to do its part to implement a strategy to provide safe, reliable, sustainable, and affordable electricity to the customer. It is my hope that by next summer, we will have made marked improvements in BPL's generation security, primarily through the incorporation of renewable and cleaner sources of power generation and smart technology in New Providence and throughout our family islands. I thank you, and my colleagues from BPL are available to answer any questions, any elaboration that you may wish to pose. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know if you mentioned it, but what is the relationship with Sun Energy? I think there's a power purchase agreement in place, and what are they providing that's supplemental to what BPL has already?
The answer is yes, and I'll call on the CEO to explain the nature of the relationship and what exactly, in terms of quantity of power, being supplied by Sun Energy.
Good morning, everybody. I know there was a specific reference to Sun Energy, but Sun Energy is not the entity that we have a relationship with. Are you meaning Focal or BUC?
I think they have one.
There's Bahamas Utility Company, which I think is an affiliate of Focal. Okay, just want to make sure, because Sun Energy is a separate entity. So the relationship that we have with them is at present we currently rent, they provide us with some rental power. And we get about, I think it's 27 and 16, about 43 megawatts between their two companies. Between what we have called Bahamas Utility, and the other one is, yeah, both of them are Bahamas Utility Company. Yeah.
And just a question about maintenance. Is there a schedule that you have now that'll help to keep the engines right? I know that used to be a problem.
Okay, so we have a maintenance schedule, and for the most part, we follow our manufacturer recommended maintenance. But what has happened is over the last couple of years after COVID and Dorian and all the rest of that, supply chains were interrupted. And so there's been some delays in securing the parts that we need to carry out our overhauls in a timely manner. But what I can tell you is that for this maintenance season, we just have about 2 more units that are currently underway, and we expect those back by the end of July. And so as far as subscribing to the prescribed maintenance schedules, we do that. But again, these engines are up in age, and so the reliability tends to go down as the units get older, regardless of carrying out the maintenance.
Does BPL have enough funds to finance this maintenance?
PPL has sufficient funds to finance the maintenance. But again, you know, every now and again you wind up with some breakdown events which are unplanned, but we have our operational budget that we do on an annual basis, which includes the cost of carrying out the maintenance in any particular year.
Okay. I know load shedding was supposed to be a thing in the past after we got the Wattsill engines. What happened to them?
To the load shedding or to the Wattsill engines? Okay, all right. Okay, so the Wattsill engines are an interesting thing. And the easiest way to put it is that we got new engines, but those engines are being supported by older auxiliaries. And so just like everything else, you're about as strong as your weakest link. And so now the plan is to try and upgrade the auxiliaries that are supporting those Wattsill engines.
So how are we doing that?
Basically, we have a plan that will result in the change out of some of the things. Like right now, we have a cooling system that was from the old plant, and we know that we need to replace that cooling system and put in a more efficient cooling system that would allow us to better utilize those engines.
Is that put in this year's budget for BPL?
It's not in this year's budget, but it is in our plan going forward. It's in terms of prioritization.
Just for clarity, I know the statement last week from Bahamas Power and Light indicated about the shortfall that happened over the weekend. So, is load shedding still going on right now, or has that come to an end? Because if I'm not mistaken, in the past few days, like up to yesterday, I think some people were still experiencing outages in some areas.
That's a good question, very good question. So, and the unfortunate thing is once you say load shedding, people tend to hang on to that. Over the last 2 weeks or whatever, I'm sure as many of you would realize, we had a lot of weather activity, and we had a number of lightning strikes as well as other things. So every outage, some of the outages that are being classified as load shedding from the public view are not load shedding. As a matter of fact, I saw a copy of our planned maintenance schedule being circulated on certain media sources as load shedding. So we have outages that will occur as a result of weather-related events. We still have third-party outages, caused outages that are occurring, people running into poles and the like. And then we have our planned maintenance. Like I said, we don't do live line work, so all of our regular scheduled maintenance still has to go on, and so we have to take certain portions of the circuits off to do that work. But I guess your question was whether or not load shedding is still going on right now. No, we have no load shedding going on at the moment.
Piggybacking off Justice's question, you mentioned about getting rental power from is it Focal?
Bahamas Utility Company Holdings.
I know at one point there was an agreement with Greco, if I'm not mistaken, for rental generations. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Is that still in place? Are they still supplying us with rental?
Yes, we still have a quantity of supply being provided by Greco, and I think that's about 40 megawatts. So in total, we have about 83 megawatts in New Providence that are being supplied from rental units.
Are you able to say how much is being spent to acquire these rental units for the time that we will need them for?
I don't have the figure in my head, and I wouldn't want to quote the wrong figure, because then that does go all over the place. So if you get back to me later on, I may be able to give you a market figure. But it is a sizable amount, and it's not something that we would like to be in a long-term basis.
Are there further questions? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If there are no further questions from BPL, we'll switch gears now to talk independence and the 50th anniversary. We'll invite the chair of the 50th Anniversary Independence Secretariat, Her Excellency Leslia Miller-Bryce.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are just days away from the 50th anniversary of the Bahamas independence. What a momentous time in our country. I want to thank all of you who have taken part in the events on the road to 50. Bahamians are coming together, we are praying together, we are celebrating together, and we are showing that we have what it takes to move forward, upward, onward together. The National Independence Secretariat has a series of events scheduled and planned for the days leading up to our Golden Jubilee, July 10th, 2023. On Friday, June 30th, the national flag of the Bahamas will be raised in a special flag-raising ceremony taking place at 9:30 a.m., simultaneously at government and private offices and institutions throughout the archipelago. Bahamas Foreign Missions will also conduct flag-raising ceremonies as we let the world mark the manner of our bearing, one people united in love and service. We encourage all Bahamians to wear your national colors this Friday for National Flag Day. Drape your homes, your vehicles, your offices, everything and everywhere in your national colors. Have your Bahamian food and find ways to celebrate our culture in your homes and communities. On Saturday, July 1st, the National Float Parade and Motorcade will paint the town black, gold, and aquamarine. The very first National Float Parade was held in the city of Nassau in 1973. 50 years later, we are seeking to creatively engage public and private partners to celebrate our Golden Jubilee in a return of similar festivities. In New Providence, the lineup for the National Float Parade begins at 2 p.m. The float will leave Arawa Key at 3 p.m., touching Bay Street, Mackey Street, Wolf Road, Marathon Road, Robinson Road, Blue Hill Road, Ponciana Boulevard, and Nassau Street, ending back up at Arawa Key. In addition, a National Float Parade is taking place where islands throughout the Bahamas will host their own motorcades in honor of the 50th anniversary. The celebrations will then take us to Arawa Key for an all-star Bahamian concert that promises to be a spectacular event. The concert, Bahama Rock, includes a stellar lineup featuring the headlining act, award-winning Bahamen. Bahama Rock will be hosted at the Western Esplanade. Gates will open at 4 p.m. and the concert starts promptly at 6 p.m. Expect to see many of your favorite Bahamian artists as well as new ones. The lineup includes Sky Juice Band, Priscilla Rollins, Sammy Starr, Patrice Murrell, the Shadow Band, Shad Colley and the VIPs, Visage and the Village Band, and many, many more. Then on Sunday at 5 p.m., we will take to Bay Street to enjoy the annual pre-independence beat retreat under the title Marching to Our Own Beat. The Royal Bahamas Police Force and Defense Forces will put on a spectacular display. And of course, they will play some of your favorite songs. And they will give us a taste of what is to come as we prepare for Independence Day. Bleachers will also be there to ensure that we have seating for the general public. After this weekend's slate of events, we will gear up for the 50th Independence Anniversary with a series of events that will be held every single day in the run-up to Independence Day. Please visit our Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok pages at Celebrate Bahamas and receive the very latest information. Also visit www.celebrate-bahamas.com and learn how you can be a part of the Road to 50. We are inviting you all to come out and have a grand time. Nobody can do it like Bahamians. Our culture is special, our people are unique, and when we come together, we remain unstoppable. Find a way to celebrate your country, your own expression of what it means to be Bahamian. Send us photographs and let us know why you are proud to be Bahamian. Email it to share@celebrate-bahamas.com so that we can highlight you and share in the wonderful spirit of celebration for our Golden Jubilee. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Certainly an exciting next week, especially planned, very events intensive. Everyone is invited to partake, of course. Just getting to a couple of quick announcements. Firstly, Prime Minister Philip Davis is nearing the end of his CARICOM chairmanship. The Prime Minister will travel to Trinidad next week for the 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government meeting, at which time he will hand over the chairmanship to Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Now, the biannual meeting will focus on food security, climate change, climate financing, the blue economy, crime, and it is expected that delegates will get an update on conditions in Haiti and the progress of the interventions which have been made to continue to work toward creating a greater degree of stability in Haiti. Some of the gains during Prime Minister Davis's chairmanship had to do with securing partnerships with regional partners, certainly on the issue of gun trafficking, as we saw during talks with the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris earlier this month. And as you just heard Her Excellency refer to, tomorrow will be observed as Flag Day. Organizations, offices, everywhere, private homes, if you want to, are invited to raise your flag, sing the national anthem, and certainly observe the 50th anniversary of independence in an extra special way. A ceremony will take place here at the office of the Prime Minister at 9 o'clock in the morning. And with that, I'll take any questions you may have. Jared?
So in the news this week, we've had Immigration and Immigration Minister Keith Bell. He's been criticized for conducting a swearing-in ceremony at a funeral. Has Prime Minister expressed any views on whether he thought that was appropriate?
Well, let me say, for starters, there was nothing sinister, I don't think, about the act. Minister Keith Bell has conceded that it was something that was unorthodox. Certainly no rules or laws were broken in the execution of that swearing-in ceremony. It is something that the two have discussed, the minister and the Prime Minister, and certainly it's not something that anyone would like to see happen again. He conceded again that it was unorthodox, no laws were broken, but it's not something that we expect to see happen again.
The Prime Minister would have expressed to him that swearing-in ceremonies need to happen in government offices, not at funerals.
It's not something that we expect to see happen again, but again, and in fact, let me say as well that the law is silent when it comes to a location for swearing-in ceremonies. There is no set location when it comes to where a swearing-in ceremony should take place.
So was the Prime Minister aware beforehand? Because I know Cabinet did authorize those citizenship, but were they aware, any of the cabinet aware that that was going to happen at a funeral?
That I couldn't say.
And I know you said there was no laws broken, but there are some people that feel like those swearing in should happen by an immigration director and not a minister. You have the authority.
The law does not speak to who should administer the oath when it comes to citizenship. Again, the persons in question went through the proper protocols. Their applications were submitted. They went through the vetting process. At the point that the oath was taken, those things would have been completed, and it was just for the oath to be taken at that point.
Just moving along, I know it's been reports of acts at the blessings at the government house. How much did it cost to renovate? And I know the contractor said it was double, but is government aware of the exact how much it's cost to renovate the government house?
Okay, those estimates are still being worked out. Of course, the renovation of Government House is something that started under the previous administration. You're correct. There were major overruns on that project. But as for the specific numbers, those are still being tallied.
What's your title, please?
My title is Deputy Press Secretary. Yes.
And when should we hear an announcement from OPM who's going to be the replacement for Flint Watson?
Well, that is not for me to say. That announcement will come in time. It's not for me to say. I'll know when you know. Any further questions?
Yeah, following the landmark ruling that was made by the Privy Council, could government consider amending the legislation to allow women to grant citizenship to children born of Bahamian women abroad to non-Bahamian men?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question.
So following the ruling that was made by the Privy Council the other day, could we see government now moving in a direction where children born to women abroad, while also having them with fathers, non-Bahamian fathers, could those women be able to pass on citizenship to their children?
Okay, could we see that happen? Obviously, the issue of citizenship is a very complex and dicey issue. It's been the subject of referenda. It's obviously something that involves public sentiment, constitutional issues, etc. Just this week, we saw recently, if not this week, a Privy Council ruling which changed the game on an issue that's been lingering for a long time. So, except to say that it's something that is at the forefront of the government's minds, to say exactly what will happen, I can't do that at this point, but it is something that is at the forefront of the administration's mind in terms of getting all of these very dicey issues sorted out, and that's as much as I can say on that at this point. Any further questions? All right, thank you very much. With that, we want to introduce our food vendor, Island Gal Tasty Treats, who has very appropriately brought us some very Bahamian desserts to try out. We introduce Trietta Maycock to tell us a little bit more about her business and what she has to offer. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. So, as Keishla said, my name is Trietta Maycock, and I am the founder of Island Gal Tasty Treats. And just like other small businesses, this was birthed during the pandemic. Of course, you had a lot of time to really focus and see where you wanted to take your dreams, and my dream was baking because I am a descendant from Eleuthera, and growing up on the family island with Eleuthera, my grandmother, she loved baking, and then of course that extended to my mother as well. And so I followed in the footsteps of them when I found out that I could actually bake. So that was an awesome realization to know that I actually had talent for baking. And once I started doing it, I was amazed at how it made me feel so relieved and kind of a way to just let my stress go, creating art with my hands. And so today I have coconut tartlets, pineapple tartlets. I also have guava duff and a spin on the duff, which is coconut duff, and also potato bread and banana bread. So my specialty is really the Bahamian treats, And I started in 2020. It has expanded because during the seasons, Christmas, Easter, I've gotten a lot of orders. And so I see myself having a bakery in a storefront, and that is my goal for maybe the next year or so.
All right, can you tell us what you have to offer today and where we can find you online?
Okay, so like I said, I have the guava duff, the coconut duff, pineapple and coconut tartlets. I have banana bread and potato bread as well. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find that as Island Gal Tasty Treats. And you can also contact me at 433-3062 via WhatsApp.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll be, they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We'll be trying out in just a minute. But that brings our press conference to a close. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.